Do you ever wish you could bridge the gap between your music classroom and your students' families? Discover how creating a parent orchestra can empower parents, enrich your program, and build a vibrant community of music lovers. Welcome to Pass the Baton, Empowering Students in Music Education. Here, we amplify the voices of music teachers around the world who are passing the baton and creating environments where the music students are empowered. Together, we can help students transform from passive consumers to vibrant creatives. Welcome back to the Pass the Baton podcast. I'm Kathryn Finch.
And I'm Theresa Hoover. Thanks for joining us today. So Kathryn, I feel like we've been talking about today's guest for a while, saying, oh, we should really have her on. And then when I saw Annie speak at Midwest, it was like, yes, we need to make this happen now. We've enough talking about it. We need to contact her.
Yeah, she's so easy to talk to and just has so much energy and just so many great ideas and just so willing to share, all the things that she's doing and just wants people to know the things and to try the things, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think I appreciate, Annie does a lot of great work in a lot of different areas, but she was able to talk about this parent orchestra in a way that felt very manageable.
Mm-hmm.
And when she explained all of the benefits of it, it was like almost a no-brainer. Of like thinking back to various jobs and positions I've had, thinking like, okay, how could I have done this? Like, this could have worked. And I hope that people listening aren't overwhelmed by the idea. I don't think they will be. I think they'll hear the positive things she has to say.
I mean, she definitely talked about just how the benefits were just so great and the joy that's created by all of this, that it's definitely, and how she shared how it was manageable too,
mm-hmm.
right? It's not just one person doing this. So yeah,
right.
It was great passing.
And for anyone listening who's like not sure, there's also a ton of benefits for the kids. So it's not just the parents that are going to be benefiting from this. She talked about how the kids, the results that she's seen with kids and the differences and how it's impacted the teachers who are involved as well. So I think everyone's going to really, really enjoy this one. So before we get to today's interview, we want to remind you that you can support Pass the Baton and get awesome perks.
Join the coffee club for as little as $2 a month and unlock discounts, free resources, planning parties, and more. Check out the link in the show notes to learn more.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We are super excited today to be connecting with Annie Ray. Annie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and be a part of this. This is just great.
Yeah. Well, had the pleasure to hear you speak at Midwest, and I know that you're going to have so many great things to share with our audience today. So this is going to be good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Could we just start with maybe you introducing yourself and telling us a little bit more about your background and your current role in education?
Yeah. I'm Annie Ray. I am the orchestra director and performing arts department chair at Annandale High School. It has been a whirlwind past couple of years. I am the proud mom of 2 little girls, and my husband's a musician. And I always tell everyone in my bio, my lifelong dream is to go and run and win the Amazing Race, which holds true. So Jeff or everybody, wait, that's Survivor, but it's please cast me. But no, it's been a whirlwind year. And like we were going to talk about today, like summing things up comes down to one word every time for me. It's the word I talk about the most right now, which is this word of connection. So many honors have come my way, and it's just coming from incredible colleagues I love and respect, who have been so kind to have put my name forward for some things. So I got to be the Grammy 2024 winner, Music Educator Award winner. And recently I was named one of Yamaha's 40 under 40 and the receiver of the Dr. Alice Hamill Inclusion Award. So it's been a whirlwind past couple of years.
Awesome.
Well, congratulations on all of that. I love it. And, it's also special to me because I spent time in Northern Virginia. So it's neat to see more connections there.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw you present at Midwest, I know you do so many different things, and that's kind of what has probably brought on so many of these honors is you have a lot of different interests and a lot of different passions. But the Midwest one really struck me because you were talking about the parents. And our focus on this podcast has always been the students, the students, the students. Oh yeah, this is what you as teachers do, but we really haven't talked about parents. But it was just a really incredible moment for me to listen to. So that's why we want to talk about today. Parent Orchestra. So I guess tell us, what is Parent Orchestra? Where did this come from? What's going on?
Yeah, so Parent Orchestra was actually founded originally back in like 2013, 2014 by my mentor, Brian Coatney. And at the time he was at Plano Senior High School, and I was student teaching with him. And I always say like the thing that like he taught me the most, besides like things that are happening on the podium and besides like how to make the perfect photocopy, is is like watching this side piece of Parent Orchestra. And it's kind of what inspired actually some of the majority of the work that I've been doing. It's like an offshoot from all of these things. So I'm really rooted in Suzuki philosophy, especially the concept of like the Suzuki triangle or the parent teacher child relationship. And it just fascinates me, that cycle. And again, that word of connection, like of those things that come around. And I work with what I call a historically resilient population of students. I have students who come from 66 different countries. They speak 59 different languages, and more than 80% of them fall below the poverty line. And what is so amazing to me about this beautiful school I teach in is that all these different backgrounds, perspectives, and strengths, where like sometimes these communities would not get along outside of the school or outside of our music classroom. In my classroom, they're musicking and connecting and being there. And it's been this like beautiful thing that has inspired so much work, which then went to the parents the same way that like it went for Brian, where our kids are doing just incredible things on the stage and the parents have no idea how challenging this is, or they think like that is the end goal of like what's happening on the stage. And it's just been something I've been pondering more and more of. I really think that we've gone the wrong way with selling why music education matters. And people do think it's this product, this nice added on thing, but it's so much about the process, the in-betweens. And that's what Parent Orchestra came to be. So we started it in 2018 with 30 parents in one pyramid in Fairfax County Public Schools. It's the ninth largest district in the country, which means that we have so many different pyramids, meaning the high school being the top. But it's now spread to include everybody in Fairfax County Public Schools. So we have 225 caregivers that come and learn how to play their child's instrument. Yeah, 225 who learn, plus a 100-person waitlist.
Oh my goodness.
That's when we turn off the waitlist too, where we're like, we'll try again next year. So it's been incredible.
Wow. So all of these parents coming together to learn how to play instruments.
Yeah. And in Fairfax County, you have parents ranging from the top 0.01% of the socioeconomic status down to parents who are like in my pyramid, and they're connecting. Like the fact that they're together and they're playing together and they're making friends they would have otherwise like never met. And they're like going out together after, or like meeting for their own socials, or they schedule their own rehearsals. And like we need so much more of that in this world right now. And it's happening so authentically in these Thursday night rehearsals that we're having. And it's just so fun.
Oh my gosh.
I know all of these things. It's so amazing. So what does it look like? So you say Thursday night, 200 and however many people, what are we doing?
we come rolling down. Brian does his a little bit differently. I think his meets actually every week. And they are a smaller group that pulls from a wider variety of backgrounds. So mine specifically focuses on like the caregivers within it. His is more turned into a community-based organization, which is like incredible in its own right. It's its own advocacy in its own right, with getting people who are not plugged into public schools involved in what we're doing. But ours is the teachers, parents, administrators, guardians, aunts, uncles, like all coming together. And we have 4 different levels. So we have beginner 1. Those are parents who have never played a musical instrument before in their life. They're the ones who are like, I have no musical bone in my body. And I'm like, yes, you do. So that's our largest group. And then we have beginner 2. So that means people who have played a different musical instrument before are now coming to a string instrument. previous experience are people who, you know what, I dabbled in middle and high school, time to revisit this, or they've been with us through beginner 1, 2, and then advanced is this like whole plethora of people, including the parents who started with us in 2018. They're still with us. And so they're over there and they're like, I just bought my own cello. or like, I finally got a private lesson teacher. And they're just amazing. So in that, we have 3 different teachers per organization or per class, so we can rotate teachers, so nobody burns out. But it also gives us flexibility for splitting groups, like if we want to do E string instruments and C string instruments, or chin instruments and pin instruments. It gives us a lot of flexibility. We just meet twice a month for 1 hour on Thursday nights, and some of them go out for drinks after.
Fun.
And do they do like some kind of performance, or is it just kind of the getting together and learning and the process? Because I know you said that, and we know too, like that's a really important part. But is there some kind of end goal, or is it just the moving forward and learning the instrument?
Oh, nothing's better than throwing some scared parents on stage and watching. They're like, I see why my kid is so freaked out by this. Like, you're fine, Tabitha. Like, you're good, girl. Like, but yeah, we have our own concert night. So we used to have it combined with my spring concert, but it just became too large. And it needed to be its own like set thing. So they do have a concert at the end. Our advanced group also does the national anthem once a year for our school board. And then they also got to come and perform in Chicago and Midwest. Now, Brian's group does actually do more concerts than that. I think they do the 4 concert cycle. And they also do go to competition, like the festival, which is like super fun for them to do. We don't really have the flexibility to do that right now, especially with just how like the sheer volume of people that we have. It just makes it really challenging. But if a lead teacher of one of our groups was like, I want to take my kids or my adults, so weird to say, adults to whatever thing, I want to take them to like Disney to get a trophy, go do it. But yeah, just the big thing at the end of the year is our main goal.
Yeah.
Awesome. And just, yeah, how incredible to allow the parents to have that kind of experience and to offer it. That's just amazing. Or caregivers, I should say, not just parents, right?
Yeah, I try to definitely say caregivers because there is like such a variety of our students' backgrounds in here, and we try to be really inclusive. Yeah. But the best part is seeing them freak out about having to get their uniform together too, like having the shirt, and they're like, I just don't know if these jeans are going to look right on stage, or like, what shoe? And like watching them go through that process, they're like, oh, I see why this is so hard for my kid to get their dress black together, or like even just get their school uniform on. Like, this is harder than it looks.
Yeah, that's so fun. So you've been doing this for a couple of years now. What are some of the other like results that you've seen? Like, we talk on the podcast, we talk about empowering kids, right? Empowering our young musicians. Do you feel like there's empowerment happening for these caregivers as well?
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, again, it's all about that Suzuki triangle, right? And the biggest thing that we are missing in public education as public educators, we forget about that part of the triangle. And that was kind of the most revealing thing for us, which is why we moved it from just like my pyramid to all of FCPS, was COVID really revealed that to us. Like, COVID really revealed this disconnect in public education with caregivers, and then also like how much the public relies on public schools to just function. And so bringing that and watching them come in and empower that and like really focusing on that has kind of like connected all of these lines in between the different apexes of it. It's brought together this whole cycle. So not only is empowering parents in the sense of like, oh, I'm learning how to do something as an adult and like being really bad at it and like learning to grow. It's empowering for the kids, like their students, because the student gets to be the expert, right? And I think that we as public music educators are in such a lucky space where we're the last space in the school where like devices aren't in the way, right? Because if a kid is playing an instrument, they literally cannot reach for a device. So we get like this very authentically them moment. And so when a parent is connecting with them the same way, there's no device. They're connecting in a very beautifully authentic way, allowing the kid to be bold and to be the expert. A parent's modeling for them process, and like the fact that they're not going to be yo-yo ma overnight. Like, I think that's just such an empowering thing. But even more so, like we bring in the superintendent every year, we bring in the school board every year. We let students who are interested in pursuing a music education career come and start being the teachers in the later half of the year to kind of, so it's a way for us to recruit for our profession. We bring pre-student teaching college students in so they can find their voice on the podium without like a kid throwing a pencil on a ceiling. Like it has benefited us in so many more ways than you would ever expect.
That's that's awesome. When we were at Midwest, I was just so taken by, you had several parents who stood up and spoke, who shared, what it was meaning to them and what it meant to them. And like those were some of the moments that I had tears in my eyes. I mean, there was beautiful music all week, but like hearing those parents speak and say how meaningful it was to be learning an instrument. What kind of things do you hear from the parents as well?
They are so giving. Like they are my biggest hype squad. They have thrown me baby showers for my girls. They are so many ways. Like we're not a native Virginians, and so all of our families back home, and they've like adopted us in up here, and just have taken care of us. But yeah, I think whenever I do presentations or anything, I really try to center the story on the people who have gone through this process, which is why I had some parents give pretty lengthy testimonies. And just like for many of them, they didn't do music in school, like for whatever reason. Maybe it was an affordability reason, maybe it was an access reason, maybe it was just like they tried it and then they like didn't have the best first experience, so they were just dismissed it as like, oh, I'm bad at this. And so coming back and like coming through this like vulnerability of just being horrendous at something at first as an adult, and then bonding with this person like you would have never otherwise met, and then they start forming those little bonds and they start having their own little things, and like the bass players are still the normal bass players that you would have in your like groups, like they act exactly the same as their student also, which is the hilarious part. And it's just the greatest blessing. And every time they share a story or just a word or just a thank you, like that means so much more to me and just gives me energy to just keep going and do more and putting it out there. My goal is one day for like every school district to have this and have it be a fundamental part of their stuff, because not only is it empowering for these parents, but it's empowering for us teachers. Like we're now out of this silo that we teach in. We're like watching our colleague teach, and like what incredible experiential professional development you're getting, being like, that's genius. I never thought to do it that way. And like picking up these tips and tricks in real time, there's so much more to it than people realize. And I want everyone to have this opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about like, so my son is in college now, but went through the high school orchestra program and junior high orchestra program, played the violin. And I mean, and I'm a music teacher, and so like I can talk his language, but I can imagine that if I was in a parent orchestra, just how much more I would know of his program by going through it together, and then having that common language of just, I know the teachers just the same or similar to him. I don't know. I'm just imagining like the conversations that can happen because they have these kind of similar experiences in some ways. And that's got to be an amazing gift for a family. And then it also made me think too, like, I really enjoyed the concerts at my son's orchestra program, but to then have gone through a program like that and really appreciate, like you said at the beginning, like how hard a piece is or what it takes to do that. You have so much more rich background in it because you're learning yourself.
And I think it's just like watching a kid have a parent have a passion or like an interest, right? Outside of their job is also really cool. One of my favorite, it is a gift. That's why I call this gifts, is like gifts that people have ever given me, is a picture a parent took of a different parent in the audience. And his daughter was like standing up, like watching her mom on stage, like and clapping for her, of her mom just being brave and like putting something out on the stage and like sharing something with the world. Is it perfect? No. And like, I think that's like the most beautiful thing about it is it's not perfect. It's not this most beautiful, perfect like performance you've ever seen. It's just like people authentically trying something and like putting it out there and their daughter's watching it and that's being modeled to her. And I just think that's like such a gift like a parent can give to a kid. But it's so funny that you mentioned like us like going like a parent going through the same thing, the same verbiage of a student. A very unexpected thing that came as like a positive from Parent Orchestra was a parent came in playing their child's violin shaped object. And we had been telling this parent that this instrument was not usable. And they played it and then they saw why it was not functional. Like it was a not functional instrument. The bridge was too high. They couldn't get the strings down onto the fingerboard. And they're like, oh. And then they came back next week with a different violin and their kid showed up to class with a different violin and like suddenly started blossoming because they can make like a quality sound like finally. So that's like been another thing.
Yeah, that's got to be huge because until you've actually tried to play it, the only thing they're going off is, well, some music teacher says, this isn't okay.
Like, oh, they must be like affiliated with this instrument.
Yeah,
whatever.
Exactly.
Like, well, I don't want to have to pay like the whatever fee like for this.
Yeah,
it's a moment of like, told you so.
Right. Wow. So that benefits the parent and the student then, because they both get an instrument that's really going to be accessible and work for them. That's
awesome. And a lot of people ask like, well, what if like their child plays like a half-size violin? Okay, go for it. There's no like rule, but this parent can give it a try, give it a half-size, and then if they like it, like go for it. But we are really lucky in Fairfax County Public Schools. We have it's called the Instruments for All program. So if a kid qualifies for a free reduced lunch, they can get an instrument that's a quality instrument for $20 for the whole year.
Wow.
Just $20. And then if the $20 is too much of an ask, we can waive the fee actually. And so that is another thing that makes us really lucky that we can have such a substantial program because we are removing that barrier of access. But I encourage people listening, if they have trouble getting instruments, literally putting out a community call, a community drive for, we have another nonprofit up here that's run through George Mason University called Instruments in the Attic, and they take instruments that have been forgotten about and they rebuild them. It's a great thing for college students to learn how to fix instruments. It's something that's so applicable to what they're going to do as music teachers, and you just fix them up, and we have parents playing on those too.
Nice. Perfect. Good. Thank you for that suggestion too, because I'm sure people are thinking like, but how do I do this? And that's very, very practical.
Yeah. Because I was thinking too, and you just kind of gave us that little one there, but is there anything else that we haven't talked about that is just another component of your work that we should know about?
Well, with Parent Orchestra specifically, like just the amount of joy that it's brought into my life. Is it a lot of work? Getting it started can be, yes, setting up your Google Forms, advertising, word of mouth, but it's something that just comes back tenfold. And some people might be like, okay, well, I have like young kids or something. I do too. And you know what? Like, there's nothing. I bring my girls, like they come and they teach the class with me. And my 3.5-year-old has her little 1/16 size violin is like sawing away. But like the parents really enjoys just seeing this very human side of you. Like it connects them as like, oh, she's a person with like a life. And what better place than to bring like your kids to a place like surrounded by parents. So I think it's this like really beautiful thing that I'm also modeling to like my girls of like, look what mommy does. You don't get to see this all the time. But this is what mommy does. So that's been just again a gift.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like you've made it very manageable, doing twice a month. You said 1 hour of rehearsals. So yes, it's extra time out of your day, but it doesn't sound like it's something that's a super like time intensive burden from what you described.
Oh, and we have 3 teachers per group for that reason. Perfect. So like rotates. So it's like, it's usually like even like once a month, like a teacher has to be there, or even less. We have like a list of subs who come in. And then to also make it sustainable, like I respect my colleagues' time. So the parents can join for like a $40 fee. If they cannot afford it, we waive the fee, and we have parents who chip in to help pay for those parents. But we just give these teachers not large enough honorarium for their time, but it is something that is representing their time. I waived mine because I actually started this without any money payment involved, because I really just wanted the access to be there. But we figured out now that we've grown so large and there's so many parents who are willing to help assist and make this a sustainable thing. And so that did help with us actually getting even more teachers on the board. So it's helped a lot.
That's good. And again, that still sounds very manageable for the parents who are involved and for the teachers, which is great. Yeah. Awesome. Well, one of the things that we like to do on this podcast is try to provide things that are very actionable, which you've done, obviously, so far. But we had, a section in Pass the Baton book called Something to Try Tomorrow, Things to Try Tomorrow. If you had to give one something to try tomorrow to our listeners, what would you suggest?
Well, this is kind of my life, two life mantras. And one of them is the best quote I was ever told was, just don't be afraid to be seen trying. And I dare teachers who are listening to this, like, to try something on the podium. And like, the worst that happens is it fails, and we all laugh together, and you get to model to your students failure and process there. But invite your principal to come down and play an instrument. Invite like a teacher to do those things. Go and watch another teacher teach. And that is some fearlessness in its own right, of like, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to get out of your silo. So there's that one. And then also comparison is the thief of joy. So that's like my big thing with people. Stop worrying about what the program down the road's doing.
Yeah.
Not worrying about anything else. Just worry about your own stuff.
Yeah.
That's very, very good advice, because we are all in such different situations. We all have different students, we have different kids, different communities. Yeah. We can't be thinking about the rest of them. Yeah. Well, this has been just wonderful. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and just your energy. And I mean, for those listening, we're doing this on a Friday night. We're giving us your Friday night, which is huge.
Yeah, my two girls and my hubs, like, we're good. We're gonna watch some Severance next.
Oh, me too.
So this is Friday night in your 30s.
Yeah, that is
or
totally
40s.
fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's totally fair. Well, where can people connect with you if they want to learn more about your work and all of that good stuff? Do you have any?
Yeah, so my Instagram handle is just annierae.sounds, which is the same as my email, annierae.sounds@gmail.com. I'm not very active on social media for like a plethora of reasons, but I'm in the process of building my website. But I'm an open book. Send me an email, send me a DM, like, take all of my Parent Orchestra stuff. Like, Brian and I just want this out in the world. We want everyone to have it. Start a parent band, start a parent chorus, do all the things.
Yeah.
And if you want to connect about disability work or working with historically resilient populations of students, or recruitment and retention, building things, relationships with administration, like, don't hesitate to reach out. Like, everything that's mine is yours. So
awesome. Yeah, I feel like we could have done multiple recordings tonight with all of the different things you do, because you have so many different facets of wonderful work. But we appreciate this very much. I think I really hope that you get emails from people telling you about the parent orchestras that they started. So there you go, listeners. There's your homework.
Yeah, there's your action item.
Yeah.
Yep. Start a parent orchestra and then let us all know about it. Awesome. Well, thank you again. And we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, anytime.
Thanks for joining us. If you have found value in our conversation, please hit that like button, subscribe to our podcast, and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us grow our community of passionate music educators.